Hawker is a god in Australia. People stand up when they hear his name mentioned. This was a spectacular example of human endeavour, courage, madness. He was a national hero. Bigger hero the Beatles were.
Loughshinny, a quiet fishing village on the east coast of Ireland. It's 1913, it's the end of the summer, in a village where nothing extraordinary ever happens.
One old man in Skerries told me that he was in school and that they had come out on their break from school to watch the plane fly over.
I mean, they'd never seen anything like it. It reminded me of the guys in Borneo when they saw their first giant silver bird in the sky. What's this? They're probably absolutely amazed, gobsmacked.
And then he heard it crashed in Loughshinny, and he ran all the way to Loughshinny after school to see the wreck.
My name is David Ryan. I've been an aviation enthusiast all my life and been fascinated by Harry Hawker. To use the word of the day, they were probably agog to see this aircraft come in and land in the bay.
Harry Hawker, whose aviation exploits have added so much to aviation history.
Arguably one of the world's greatest pilots and contributors to the development of early aviation.
Harry Hawker was born in Moorabbin, Australia.
He was a great celebrity, and it's very interesting if you read all the stuff on the internet, and there's vast amounts of stuff. He's referred to as a great British flyer. He's actually an Australian.
In his early 20s, he saw his first demonstration of powered flight in Australia, and it was at that moment he became captivated at the marvel of aviation.
And came to England as a young man, about age 21 or 22, to learn how to fly.
Hawker was one of the great successful failures in early British aviation.
Determined to participate in the evolution of aviation, he travelled to England, obtained jobs in mechanics, and after tireless efforts, persuaded Sopwith Aviation to employ him as a mechanic. And within 6 weeks of obtaining his pilot's license, he won his first award for flight of endurance.
He had obtained the British records for altitude, for distance and for duration.
He tried to fly around Ireland, didn't quite make it, but damn nearly did.
The incredible thing about this 1,600-mile challenge that was put down by the Daily Mail was that it took place only 10 years after Oliver and Wilbur Wright just about managed to fly a few hundred yards on a powered flight.
Tried to fly the Atlantic, didn't quite make it.
And Hawker's was the last plane flying, if you like, in their effort to win the £5,000 prize.
That was a spectacular success insofar as when he was running into problems mechanically halfway across the Atlantic, he knew he wasn't going to make it. So he diverted on to the south to try and intercept the shipping lanes from west to east to pick up a ship, and he landed in the sea, or crash landed in the sea in front of a Danish cargo ship so that he would be picked up. And that was an extraordinary piece of flying and navigation.
Another fellow Australian who lived outside London, to commemorate the event, set off on the same flight right around the British Isles in a 1943 Catalina seaplane, and he came over Loughshinny on Saturday the 24th of August, and he circled the bay in Loughshinny and then set off back over to the final place at Centenary. On the Sunday, we had the special event in Loughshinny. There were huge crowds arrived. A special aviation display of two aeroplanes, one from Limerick and one from Dublin, who flew over and did a special aerobatics over the bay.
quick time, Harry secured his position and rightful place as one of the world's great aviators and soon became a national hero in Australia at a time when pioneering heroes were few and far between.
He was received by the King and a vast gathering in Trafalgar Square. He was a national hero. Probably as big a hero as the Beatles were, but at least he did something worthwhile.
Harry is known for breaking a number of aviation records in altitude, efficiency and distance. One of his earliest attempts was to circumnavigate the British Isles, a 1,600-mile journey in tough conditions in just 72 hours. And of course we all know that in the latter stages of the aerial competition,
unfortunately, his foot slipped off the rudder bar while crossing over the Bay of Loughshinny and the plane crashed into Loughshinny Bay. The wreckage was sort of washed into the shore and loads of people came down.
And the following morning, Hawker came back to salvage what he could from the aircraft. But unfortunately, a lot of the local people had got there first and they had stripped the aircraft. And well, that's what you do in 1913. You would do a bit of souvenir hunting.
So the engine was rescued and taken back to England, repaired and put on the next plane that was made by Sopwiths.
The only piece that exists today is the spark plug, which we presented to the chap from the Australian Embassy. And he's going to arrange for that to go to the Harry Hawker Museum at Moorabbin.
But I will say this, I'm struck in awe by the community's recognition of Harry Hawker. I thank you on behalf of all Australians. Despite our two countries' distance, and I think the Australian Embassy in Ireland is probably the farthest diplomatic mission from Canberra, Australia, than any other Australian diplomatic mission in the world. And yet our two countries enjoy the strongest of cultural and historical partnerships that two countries could possibly share. Perhaps there's a world record in that. Thank you.
Yesterday and today justified the whole thing.
Well, it was a special event in Loughshinny. Loughshinny is in Fingal, which is quite close to the airport, and it was just a very special day in Loughshinny.